Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This we are reading from 5th canto, 20th chapter, 44th verse. And this is Mrityanda echa etasmin yad bhuta tato martanda iti vyapdeshah hiranyagarbha iti yad hiranya anda samudbhavah. Okay. Om Jnanaatimirindasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Prachari Shunyavadi Vaishchadishtarine. So, this is talking about Sun God, and we have various names of Sun God here. This name Martanda is very important because in many of the mantras of Sun God, this word Martanda is used when they glorify Sun God. So this means here three names of Sun God are given. In fact, Sun, when we say Sun God, it is not exactly a living entity. Sometimes Sun God refers to, traditionally Sun God refers to Surya Narayana, the form of Lord Vishnu who is staying within the sun. That is Sun God, Surya Narayana. And then there is also Sun God there who is worshipping Surya Narayana. So all these mantras like Gayatri mantra, they are worshipping Surya Narayan who is within Surya. And so the light we are seeing of the sun, it's due to the bodily effulgence of Surya Narayan. There is a Surya, Narayan himself is present there, and he accepts the offering from Sun God. So that is understanding of scriptures. So that is why Gayatri is an offering in the glorification of Sun God or Surya Narayana, and not exactly the Sun God there. So when you say Sun God, it has to be clear, like to whom we are referring. Are we referring to the presiding deity of sun, which is Sun God, or we are referring to the worshipable deity in sun, that is Surya Narayana. That has to be cleared up. So all these Karma Kandis, they think that all these mantras of Vedas, Gayatri or whatever, Surya mantras, or in fact Jyotish, they think that this mantra is offered to the living entity Sun God, the presiding deity, and not to the worshipable deity. But Vaishnava understanding is that all these mantras are offered in the glorification of Surya Narayana and not to Surya Dev. So let's say Surya Dev and Surya Narayana. But in fact, Madhvacharya, he explains that all these mantras in the praise of Surya, in the praise of sun, are actually for both. It's for both Surya Dev and Surya Narayana both. And that is the mystery of Vedic scriptures. So this is called as Adi Daivik level and Adi Daivik and Adhyatmic level, the interpretation of the mantras of Vedas. So at the Adhyatmic level, the mantras of Vedas for the worship of sun, they are offering to sun Surya Dev. But at the Adi Daivik level, the mantras are offering to Surya Narayana. So when Vedic rishis they chant these Vedic mantras on what level they are chanting. Are they chanting on Adidevic level or Adhyatmic level? Well, when rishis are chanting, they are chanting on both levels simultaneously. Simultaneously, they are worshipping Surya Dev and Surya Narayana with the same mantra. In fact, here also these so they will refer to some mantras for actually worshipping sun god. So I don't know whether it has already come or not, or it will come further. But the whole point is, Vedic rishis are chanting at both levels. As far as Vaishnavas are concerned, especially Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we don't worship Surya Dev. Shri Vaishnavas, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Nimbark, anybody. We don't worship Surya Dev. For us, the Vedic mantras are offering to Surya Narayana. So we chant Vedic mantras at the level of so at Adidevic level and not at the Adhyatmic level. We don't worship Surya Dev. That's the difference. So the mantras are same, but it depends who are chanting those mantras. If Karam Pandit are chanting, they are worshipping Surya Dev. If Vedic rishis are chanting on higher planets, they are worshipping both Surya Dev, Surya Narayan. And if Vaishnavas are chanting these mantras, then we are worshipping Surya Narayana. And what goes for mantras, it goes for names also. So for us, Vairaj, Martand, Hiranyagarbha, these are all names of Surya Narayana as well as names of Surya Dev. Surya Narayana is also called Vairaj because Srila Prabhupada says that the total material body of all living entities. Vairaj means the total material body for all living entities. In fact, in this, what's this? Martanda Divabdesha. So in the mantra, Vairaj doesn't come. It's funny. It's funny. I don't know from where this word is. Sun God is also known as Vairaj. Interesting. Anyway, so Vairaj means the total material body for all living entities. Martanda means why Sun God is known as Martanda? Because Surya Dev is called Martanda because he entered the dull egg of the universe at the time of creation. Now Surya Dev is called as Martanda because initially everything was dark, and when Surya Dev manifested, then as Bible says, let there be light. But Martanda can also refer to Surya Narayana because Narayan also entered this dull egg of universe at the time of creation, we know, in the form of Paramatma and then the form of time. So this name can equally refer to Surya Narayana and also to Surya Dev. Similarly, it goes for Vairaj. Vairaj means the total material body of all living entities. This can refer to Surya Dev because Surya Dev is a presiding deity of sun and he maintains the sun planet. So because of that, or sun star, whatever, and because of the light of the sun, all living entities, their material bodies, they subsist and they are maintained. If there is no sun, everybody dies. The universe undergoes cold death, as scientists say. It becomes a white dwarf or whatever. So because of sun, all living material bodies of all living entities are maintained. That is why he is called as Vairaj. Similarly, it can also refer to Surya Narayana because of Narayan, because of his mercy, the material bodies of all living entities are maintained. Yadanugraha santi na santi tadupekshaya. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto. What's that verse? I forgot. Dravyam kalam cha karmascha 𝗙𝗲𝗪𝗔 yadanugraha santi na santi tadupekshaya. I think it's 2nd canto. So it's somewhere in 2nd canto. I just forgot the exact number. But the whole idea is that 4 things are maintained and sustained on the mercy of Surya Narayana. What are these 4 things? Dravya means material things or material bodies of living entities. Kala means time. Time is also dependent on mercy of the Supreme Lord. fourth is karma, the laws of karma are maintained by Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the fourth is 𝗙𝗲𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. The independence of free will of the living entity is sustained by the Supreme Lord. 𝗙𝗲𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀. Or the nature of living entities is sustained by the Supreme Lord, because when a living entity is born, the Supreme Lord in the form of Paramatma, he makes that living entity remember all his interests and attachments and hate from previous lives. So the Supreme Lord makes that living entity remember, and then he starts his life again, but with the same subhav which he has acquired in the previous life, same nature. So that's also sustained on the anugraha or mercy of the Supreme Lord. That's why it is said, yad anugrata santi na santi 𝗙𝗲𝗪𝗀𝗀. If Krishna gives mercy, then these four things are maintained, but if Krishna removes his mercy, these four things dissolve. That's the idea there. So that is why this name Vairaj can also refer to Surya Narayana. And the third name is Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is an interesting name, because this name also comes in Isopanishad. So Hiranyagarbha can refer to the name of Surya Dev. Here it is said Hiranyagarbha is one of the name of Lord Brahma also, and Hiranyagarbha is the name of Surya Narayan also. So you see, one name can refer to two demigods simultaneously. This name is referring to Surya Dev and also to Lord Brahma and also to Surya Narayana, which is Narayan. So Hiranyagarbha means, Hiranya means gold, Garbha means Garb means what do we say that in English? Gar means abdomen. Yeah, womb. womb. Yeah, womb. So Hiranya means gold and Garbha means womb. So this whole material universe is also called as Hiranyagarbha, because this whole material universe is like golden egg. There is a description in Brahma Samhita at the time of creation. If you look from a very from a high platform, from outside the universe, you will find that the whole universe is like egg shaped. And even, the scientists have discovered universe is egg shaped. So according to the mathematical calculations, it's not flat, it is egg shaped. So the color of the egg shape is golden, because that's how universe looks like. And the womb of this universe, so inside the egg we have womb, and because Lord Brahma was manifested from Lord Vishnu, he was the first living entity within that universe, egg-shelled universe. That is why Lord Brahma is called as Hiranyagarbha. Lord Vishnu or Narayana is also called as Hiranyagarbha, because he also entered this whole universe as 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 Vishnu. We know there are three Vishnus: 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪, 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪, Mahavishnu. So Mahavishnu expanded in form of 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 Vishnu. He entered this golden egg. That is why Surya Narayana or Vishnu, he is also called as Hiranyagarbha. Surya Narayana is also called as Hiranyagarbha, also because Surya Narayana entered the golden egg of sun star. Sun star is also golden globe. So sun is a globe, we know that, and it's golden because there's a lot of heat, and because Surya Narayan entered that and manifested as a worshipable deity on sun star or sun planet, whatever. So that is why Surya Narayan is also called as Hiranyagarbha. Sun God is also called as Hiranyagarbha, because sun God is produced from Lord Brahma, and he also entered the sun planet and he's staying there and is worshipping Surya Narayana. So he's also called as Hiranyagarbha. So the Vedic rishis, when they chant this name Hiranyagarbha, They are simultaneously worshipping Surya Dev, Lord Brahma, Surya Narayana, and Supreme Lord Vishnu, 𝗙𝗪𝗪 Vishnu. All of them. So that's very interesting, and this name comes in 𝗙𝗎𝗪𝗪, where Supreme Lord is mentioned as Hiranyagarbha, and 𝗙𝗎𝗪𝗪 says Tattvam Pushana Pavrinu Hiranyamayana Patrena 𝗙𝗲𝗹𝗹𝗪𝗲 𝗪𝗲. There this word is used, Hiranya word is used, because it is said that Supreme Lord's effulgence appears like golden effulgence, like Mahaprabhu. So the Upanishad, 𝗙𝗎𝗪𝗪 is spoken by Prajapati Ruchi, and he is offering prayers and he is saying, "Oh my Lord, 𝗙𝗲𝗹𝗹𝗪𝗲, please remove the effulgence from your face, golden effulgence, so that I can see your beautiful form." So this word Hiranyagarbha is very important. Hiranyakashipu, what about him? Hiranyakashipu. Why Hiranyakashipu is called as Hiranyakashipu? Because Hiranya means gold, gold-like. So Hiranyakashipu, he had a lot of gold, that is wealth, and Kashipu means pillow, that is bed, that is a lot of woman. So he had wealth and woman, and that is why Hiranyakashipu had this name Hiranyakashipu. So this is a third name of Lord Brahma. Now as Vaishnavas, when we chant these names, Vairaj, Martand, Hiranyagarbha, we generally remember Lord Vishnu and Surya Narayan. We don't generally remember Lord Brahma and Surya Dev. That's not our policy, because as Vaishnavas we don't worship demigods. We are not interested in demigod worship, because Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Devan Devritayanti. People who worship demigods, they go to demigods. People who worship Krishna, they go to Krishna. But at the same time, we don't even like to worship demigods, because we don't want to distribute our faith and love to anybody else except Krishna and Vishnu. So we are very reserved and exclusive in our devotion, especially Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya and Sri Sampradaya. In Madhva Sampradaya, they also worship demigods along with Lord Vishnu. So when Madhva Sampradaya people will chant Hiranyagarbha and Martand, in their mind they will be thinking of both Suryadev and Surya Narayana. But when Gaudiya Vaishnavas are chanting Martand and Hiranyagarbha and Vairaj, or Sri Vaishnavas, we will be only thinking of Surya Narayana or 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 Vishnu. So there's a difference in thinking what you're thinking. Names are same, and this equally holds for chanting Hare Krishna mantra also. Same thing. So when we chant Hare Krishna mantra, it depends what you are thinking. Your consciousness level decides the result of chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, and this comes in Prem Vivarta, by the way, this topic. In fact, this whole, I mean to say, why they are mentioning this in Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam is saying on different planets there are devotees, and they are chanting these mantras for the glorification of the Supreme Lord. These are all descriptions there. But why all these descriptions are given? So that we can learn how to glorify Lord Vishnu from by different names. We can learn different names of Lord Vishnu. Nam Namakari Bhauda Nija Sarva Shaktis, and we can learn how to glorify him. So as far as chanting of Hare Krishna, so there's a book Prem Vivarta by Jagdanand Pandit, and he says, almost in the end of the book, he says, it depends on the consciousness level of the person whether he'll get proper results from chanting or not. Because there was one devotee, Krishnadas, not Krishnadas Kaviraj, but another Krishnadas, who met Mahaprabhu in Puri, and Jagdanand Pandit writes, he asks a simple question to Mahaprabhu. Everybody chanting Hare Krishna, but everybody is having different results. Why is it? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, because they have different kind of faith. So according to faith, or in other words, according to the consciousness level, the results, we receive the result of chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. So you might be chanting Hare Krishna, I might be chanting, and Prabhupada is chanting, and so many great devotees are chanting, but it depends with what consciousness, with what understanding. By consciousness means with what understanding you are chanting Hare Krishna. Understanding of what? Understanding of goal, and understanding of the process, and understanding of the Sambandha Gyan. Because if we don't understand the goal, then our chanting of Hare Krishna will not be in proper consciousness. So I'll give you an example. Our goal, so what's our goal of Gaudiya Vaishnavas? The goal of Gaudiya Vaishnavas is love of God. Now that's simple, but if we really understand the goal, our goal is to serve love of God and not to enjoy love of God. Now there's a difference between enjoying love of God and serving the love of God. If you don't understand this, your chanting will be different. People who think goal of life is love of God, simply some superficial understanding, the chanting will be different. People who know that that goal of life is serving love of God, their chanting will be very different. So prayojan defines abhidhay, goal defines a process, and that is why it's very important to understand a goal of life. So that's the difference. So people who think goal of life is love of God, devotees who think and they don't know that the goal of life is to serve love of God and not to attain love of God per se, they will not be chanting in proper consciousness and they will not get proper result. But devotees who are absolutely clear, goal of life is to serve love of God, and they know what do we mean by serving love of God. That's another thing. What do you mean by serving love of God? They know this, then their chanting will be in proper consciousness, and then they will reap proper results of chanting Hare Krishna. So this is one example where proper understanding, Krishna consciousness, with proper consciousness you are chanting Hare Krishna. Consciousness, one meaning of proper consciousness is proper understanding of abhidhay, sambandh and prayojana. And the second meaning of proper consciousness while chanting is to have proper faith in Krishna, that he will definitely protect us. Now that faith, so what do you mean by having faith in God, faith in Krishna? And so anybody can say I have faith in Krishna, but practically if you have faith in Krishna, then your mind will never get disturbed in whatever condition you are. So mental stability defines how much faith you have in God. Mental stability in all circumstances. In happiness, in distress, Krishna says sama dukkha sukha. In problems, if your mind is completely undisturbed and not affected by material anxiety, that means you have faith in Krishna. The more the disturbance and anxiety, the less the faith. So when we say if you're chanting with proper consciousness Hare Krishna mantra, then you get proper results. That means proper understanding, and it means mental equilibrium in problems of life. Mental stability, mental. What do we say when mind is not disturbed? Mental equilibrium, mental equanimity. Krishna uses this word. My devotee is equanimous in heat and cold, happiness and distress. That's the whole point there. So understanding and proper consciousness means understanding and also equanimity. This word is equanimity is okay. Yeah. Equanimity. He is equanimous. He is equal in happiness, distress, heat, cold, problems, and rest of the things. So that defines. So it's same thing happens here. These beautiful names of Krishna, they are Martanda, Vairaj, and Hiranyagarbha. Same things. When Vaishnavas chant these names, they remember Krishna, and and it's not simply that we remember Krishna, then the results will proceed. It's not simply remembrance of God. That is another point here to consider. It's not simply that you remember Krishna, then you will get proper results of chanting the mantra. Remembrance is a part of chanting. When we chant purely, we will spontaneously remember Krishna. But at the same time, if a consciousness is not proper, then we don't get proper results. And that is why Srila Prabhupada said, when you chant Hare Krishna mantra, don't artificially remember Krishna while chanting. इसमें disturbance तो नहीं आ रही? Don't artificially remember Krishna while chanting. Just chant and hear, or chant and remember. When we are chanting Hare Krishna, we remember that Krishna is with us. Or when we are chanting Hare Krishna, remember, we remember and feel that Krishna is our master. That feeling has to be there while chanting. He is our master and I am his servant. This is called a Sambandh Gyan, by the way. I have got a relationship with God. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Sambandha janiya bhajete bhajete abhiman hoye dur. As that feeling becomes more mature and more condensed, Sadharana Atma Vishesha Atma, that feeling that Krishna is mine and I belong to Krishna, as that becomes more condensed and mature, we are near to love of God. In fact, when we are 100% convinced Krishna is my master, I am his servant or her servant, then that is called love of God. And how do you mature this feeling? Now we have some feeling that Krishna is my master, I am his servant or her servant. How do we mature this feeling? This is called as abhidhaya, by some process of bhakti. And then we mature it 100% and we get love of God. This is our process. So when we chant with this feeling of, as Prabhupada says, cry of a child for the mother Hara, he says that. So we have to chant with this feeling and with the conception that holy name and God is not different. Avinatvam nam namino. We don't have to remember Krishna's pastimes or form. That is strict instruction of acharyas, because that will be artificial. Because only when we chant with a proper consciousness, with understanding and equanimity, and with this feeling also, feeling which is included in understanding of sambandha and prayojana, then slowly our heart becomes pure and our feeling becomes strong that Krishna is mine, I am Krishna's, and then that feeling becomes very strong, automatically remembrance will proceed. There will be spontaneous remembrance of Krishna from holy name, his form, his pastimes, and his qualities. That's the system of chanting. But if we start remembering artificially while chanting, then we will never know that whether we are chanting in proper consciousness or we are not chanting in proper consciousness, because the result of chanting is remembrance of God. That's the result, by the way. When Mahaprabhu says, when you chant, you will not get proper result. If you don't chant with proper, if you don't chant with proper consciousness, you don't get proper result. What is the proper result of chanting? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, remembrance of God while chanting. So let the result come on its own. Let Krishna give us the gift of remembrance. Remembrance is not the process, it's a gift of God. To whom he gives this gift of remembrance while chanting? Who chants with proper consciousness. What do you mean by proper consciousness chanting? That means two things: with proper understanding and with equanimity, with mental stability and equilibrium, with no material anxieties. And what do you mean by proper understanding? Proper understanding means understanding of prayojana and understanding of sambandha. What do you mean by proper understanding of prayojana? That means what is love of God, and what do you mean by serving love of God? And what do you mean by understanding of sambandha? That means to understand that I belong to Krishna and he belongs to me, and have this feeling in your heart. So this is the whole scheme of chanting Hare Krishna. If we chant in such a fashion, then when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, it will no longer be mechanical, it will no longer be finishing your rounds, it will no longer be just hear and chant, it will not be just be restricted to this platform. You will proceed to another platform, that whenever you chant in this proper consciousness, it might take time, but the result will be, as soon as you chant, you will remember Krishna's form, qualities and pastimes. If that happens, then your chanting is proper. If that doesn't happen spontaneously, then you are not chanting in proper consciousness. Then you have to work on your consciousness and not just work on your, just finishing your rounds. That is not happen. That will not help you. You have to work on your consciousness. How? By increasing your understanding, by taking knowledge, and by associating with devotees who do not get disturbed in problems and in ups and downs of lives, who are equanimous, who are stable. And then we will get the same result. That's the idea there. So that's the idea here in this whole scheme where Bhagavatam is telling that that people worship sun god. So that's the idea, that many names of Krishna are revealed in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are so many beautiful names. Vishnu Sahasranam is there, 1,000 names of Vishnu. Sripad Madhvacharya, he says, every name of Vishnu Sahasranam has 1,000 meanings. So Vishnu Sahasranam has 1,000 into 1,000, that is 1, 2, 3, 10, how much it is? 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs meanings. Vishnu Sahasranam has 10 lakh meanings. So 1 million meanings. Vishnu Sahasranam has 1 million meanings, you can imagine. And so nobody knows that. Only Madhvacharya knows and his younger brother knows. And anybody knows those 1 million meanings of Vishnu Sahasranam, they become eternal. They don't die. Hanuman knows 1 million meanings. That's why he's Chiranjeev. He is eternal. So Madhvacharya didn't reveal this secret to anybody. We don't know all these meanings. We know some meanings of Vishnu Sahasranam. So these Martanda, Hiranyagarbha, these names comes in Vishnu Sahasranam, by the way. That's why I remembered Vishnu Sahasranam. They are in Vishnu Sahasranam. Martanda and Hiranyagarbha and Vairaj. These are beautiful names. In fact, Srimad Bhagavatam, every word is a name of Vishnu, Krishna. That's another deep point there. Acharyas, they say that even the word aham is one of the name of Vishnu. Every word of Vedic literature is a name of Vishnu, whether we know or don't know. Aham in Sanskrit means I, but Acharyas, they say that even I is the name of Vishnu. Why? Because Vishnu is the I of I, the soul of soul. Main ka main, that's the whole idea. So when we talk in relationship of love with God, so in the realm of love, the lover says to the beloved, you are me and I am you. You see, in that sense, Vishnu is the I of I. I means I, not this I, but I, mine, me, is a me of me. That's the whole idea. So aham is one of the word of Vishnu. When we look through the eyes of love, then every word of Vedas or Srimad Bhagavatam or even Gita is the name of Vishnu. But you have to look through the eyes of love. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hirdeshu vilokayanti. People who have eyes of love, they always witness, they always see Krishna within their heart.
Recording in progress.
Hare Krishna. क्या हो गया? Oh, actually signals were lost or what? Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you are muted, Prabhu. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah. Now signals were lost in between or what?
And also your camera is upside down. Can you put your camera in the proper way?
Oh really? It's not upside down. Here it's okay. ठीक करो इसको. I don't know what's happening. They don't. Now it's okay. Now it's fine.
Yes, Prabhuji. Now it's okay, Prabhuji. Please continue.
Okay. So where did we leave? I don't know. Where did we leave? You got disconnected or you heard everything?
Every word is Krishna.
What?
Every word is Krishna. Every word is Krishna.
No. So did you hear that? So that even I is Krishna. Aham.
Yes, Prabhuji, aham is also Krishna.
You went out right after that.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So yeah, I was telling that aham means in Sanskrit it means I, but that's also one of the name of Krishna, because Krishna is I of I. Krishna is me of me. That's what I was saying. So what I was saying is that if we look from the eyes of love, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Saideva Hirdeshu Vilokanti, Brahm Samhita says, people whose eyes are embalmed with love, they can always see Krishna within themselves and everywhere they look. So devotees who read with love Srimad Bhagavatam and Gita, what happens? They see every word of Bhagavatam as Krishna. That's the point there. It's not, Bhagavatam says Swadu Swadu Pade Pade. Every verse of Bhagavatam is full of nectar. Every word of Bhagavatam is full of nectar. 𝗙𝗲𝗪 Pandit in Jagannath Puri, when he was reading Bhagavatam, his personal copy of Bhagavatam, he was simply crying and all the ink of Bhagavatam, it got eroded. There were also others in Jagannath Puri when 𝗙𝗲𝗪 Pandit Mahaprabhu were there, and they were called as Sahajiyas. They were also crying and their Bhagavatam was eroded, the ink was eroded. So what's the difference between they are crying and 𝗙𝗲𝗪 Pandit crying? So the difference is 𝗙𝗲𝗪 Pandit is not just crying sentimentally. When 𝗙𝗲𝗪 Pandit is seeing Krishna in every word of Bhagavatam, that's why he's crying. There's a difference. And how he is seeing Krishna, he's not imagining. It's not a mental picture. He knows that every word of Bhagavatam and Gita, it refers to Krishna. He knows that. He has that knowledge. He has that eyes of love. And those words, when he reads those words of Bhagavatam, they refer to Krishna. Automatically his mind, those meanings are invoked in his heart. Those meanings appear in his heart automatically from those words, and then he can remember Krishna like that. It's not an artificial imagination of some form of Krishna. That's not the point I'm saying. So what I'm saying, in Srimad Bhagavatam, every word is the name of Krishna. Even aham is the name of Krishna. You can imagine. So in this verse itself, 5:20:44, every word is a name of Krishna. Let alone Vairaj, Hiranyagarbha, Martanda. Just forget that. If you read text 44, Mrite is one of the name of Krishna. Mrite means dead. So you might say, how it is name of Krishna? Amrita can be name of Krishna, because Krishna doesn't die. He is Amrit, he is nectar. Krishna is a reservoir of all nectar. That's why he is also called as Amrit. But here the word is called Mrite, dead. But this word also refers to Krishna. Why? Because it is explained, Mrite means, Krishna is called Mrite. Why? Because within him all the evil qualities, they die. When anybody comes in contact with Krishna, all the evil qualities, all the sinful life, all the anarthas, they simply die. They reduce to ashes. That is why one of the Krishna's name is Mrite. See, this Anda, this is one of the name of Krishna. Anda means globe. Anda means globe. So in this context, Anda means globe. But Anda also, it also means within. This is called as Anda. It's called round. Round is also called as Anda. Round. So this is one of the name of Krishna, because Krishna lives in Golok, which is also in the shape of Anda. He is Golokapati. So if you see all these words, it will refer to name of Krishna. And So I am just telling one meaning of this, but you can simply, but there are innumerable meanings of every name of Krishna, we know that, and that will be revealed if you see from the eyes of love, or of course we don't have eyes of love now, so we have to read scriptures. We have to read scriptures nicely, so then we will understand that every word will be referred to Krishna. If we read 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita properly with Prabhupada purports, with this vision that every word is name of Krishna, you will understand that, well, okay, fine, these words are referring to names of Krishna. And even previous commentaries, Acharyas mentioned so many things. 𝗍 refers to name of Krishna. 𝗍 means this. This refers to name of Krishna. Om Purnamidam Purnamadaha Purnat Purnamudachyate Isopanishad. So 𝗍 means this. This is one of the name of Krishna. Why? Because this Krishna, this is the only reality. There is no other reality except this. That is said in Upanishads. What's that? Om Tat Sat. That, Tat means that, is eternal. So Upanishads refer to Krishna as that or this. So when Upanishads refer to Krishna as Tat, it means that. So when you are in this material world, then you refer to Krishna as that. So when you look from the eyes of mercy and justice, then Krishna is that God who is all justice and all mercy. Because there's a difference between you and God, because now you are looking through the eyes of Aishwarya, awe and reverence, so you refer to Krishna as that. So that is why Upanishad says Om Tat Sat. Upanishads and Vedas always see God in an in Aishwarya Bhav, in an awe and reverence. But when you describe God in the language of love, then you say this is God, because you have some connection with Him, you love Him. So in Goloka nobody says Tat, they say 𝗍. This is my Krishna. So this carries more intimate connection, sweetness, that carries awe and reverence. So Upanishad says Om Tat Sat, and scriptures which discuss about love, they say 𝗍, this. So 𝗍 is one of the name of Krishna. Like this, if you see all this, I mean to say, we can just read Bhagavatam from a different angle altogether, from a completely purely different angle. So although this verse refers to 3 names of Vishnu, but when we see every word as name of Vishnu, and that is called love of God, by the way. Love of God is not just judged by your weeping, or by your only by your weeping, or only by your emotions or feelings for Krishna. That's how you don't judge love of God. Love of God is judged by these parameters, that when you read Bhagavatam, Swadu Swadu Pade Pade, every word is full of nectar. Why? Because in every word you can see Krishna. And how you can see Krishna? You can see Krishna through the meanings of those words. And the meaning of those words refers to Supreme Lord Krishna, and that's how when you read those words you remember Krishna, and then that is devotion, that is called love of God. And then you want to serve Him. That's the whole idea. Love of God is judged by the amount of service attitude you have, the amount of remembrance you have, through the scriptures and through the holy names. That's the idea. So Bhaktisanta used to say, independent remembrance of God cannot help you judge your advancement in devotion. Only remembrance through the holy names and through Srimad Bhagavatam, like just how what I explained, that defines how much near you are to love of God. And as far as crying and other symptoms and emotions are concerned, that might be tricky, that might be true or might not be true. So we don't judge our devotion by that. So, having said that, it's very nice to. That is why it is very nice to read Srimad Bhagavatam, because see, you can read Srimad Bhagavatam from various angles. That's another point there. Srimad Bhagavatam is Paramaham Shastra. You can read Srimad Bhagavatam from the angle I just described. Every word is the name of Krishna. Or you can read Srimad Bhagavatam from a completely different angle, that every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam carries one pastime of Krishna. That's another angle. And you can read entire Srimad Bhagavatam from that angle, and you can find the pastimes of Krishna within every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Even in this verse you can find a pastime of Krishna. 5:20:44. Only if you know how to decode it. That's another thing. I have to think how to decode it, but or maybe I mean to say you have to refer to previous acharyas' commentaries how to decode it. But or with eyes of love you can decode it. Gadadhar Pandit could. So every verse of Bhagavatam has pastime of Krishna, and you can then read Bhagavatam from that perspective, or you can read Srimad Bhagavatam from a perspective of pure philosophy. That every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam carries a philosophical point, just like this verse carries a philosophical point. What I just explained, that every name which is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, it can be chanted at the level of Adidevik or Adhyatmic level. It can refer to one demigod or two demigods, or even Surya Narayan himself, or in fact it can this name can refer these names can refer to actually two or three demigods, and also two or three forms of Krishna. Just like Martan name is referring to Surya Dev, it is referring to Surya Narayan, and Hiranyagarbha name is referring to Surya Dev, Lord Brahma, Surya Narayan, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, even Paramatma, you see. So with this perspective you can read Srimad Bhagavatam. So every verse has a philosophical point. So this verse is helping us to give a philosophical point, two philosophical points especially, that every name of Krishna has to be chanted with proper consciousness, and every name of Krishna can refer to multi-personalities. It's not just referring to only to Krishna. It can refer to Krishna, it can refer to Vishnu, it can refer to Paramatma, it can refer to Surya Narayan, it can refer to Sun God, it can refer to Lord Brahma, it can refer to a whole variety of personalities. And it can also refer to Prakriti. Hiranyagarbha is also called, Prakriti is also called as Hiranyagarbha. It can also refer to dead material elements. It's interesting. It can also refer to time. Martanda is one of the name of time also. Martanda, Kala. So you see the point there. So you can read Srimad Bhagavatam from the perspective of every verse is carrying a philosophical point. So even to read, I mean to say, if you finish Srimad Bhagavatam once, you have not actually finished it, because you can go through Srimad Bhagavatam again from a different perspective, and then you can go through Srimad Bhagavatam again from a totally different perspective, and then again from totally different perspective. How many different angles are there to read Srimad Bhagavatam? How many different perspectives are there to Srimad Bhagavatam? Infinite. And that is why Bhagavatam says 𝗙𝗲𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗲. At every step, or in every verse, or in every letter, pade can refer to step, it can refer to verse, it can refer to letter. There is swadu, there is taste and nectar and nectar and nectar. Nectar means Krishna. There is Krishna. For Gaudiya Vaishnavas, nectar means Krishna. It doesn't refer to anything else than Krishna. Nectar can mean love of God, and love of God means Krishna. That's all. So that's the idea in this verse. I think I have said a lot there. Okay, I think I'll end up there. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki